If someone had told me that the man I loved, the man I planned to marry, would one day betray me with the person who gave me life, I would have laughed in their face. But here I am, months later, still struggling to breathe whenever I think about it. My name is Ava Mitchell, and I'm 28 years old. I've always believed in love, the kind that makes you feel safe, the kind that gives you something to wake up for. Michael was that man for me, or at least I thought he was. We met at a friend's backyard barbecue in Austin, Texas. He wasn't the loudest guy there, but the moment our eyes met, I felt something. By the end of the night, we'd shared more laughs than I'd had in months. We started dating the next week from the beginning. Michael treated me like I was the only woman in the world. Surprise flowers at my door. Late night drives just to talk. Sunday mornings making pancakes in his kitchen while music played softly in the background. He'd memorized every detail I shared. Within weeks, we were inseparable. By month 6, he was meeting my family. By month 12, he was down on one knee in the middle of my living room asking me to be his wife. I said yes without hesitation. Not because I had everything figured out, but because in that moment, I couldn't imagine a life without him. Then we started planning wedding venues and the number of kids we'd have. My mom, Linda, adored him too. She was only 50, young and vibrant, and she would joke that Michael was the perfect son-in-law. We'd all have dinner together often, and it warmed my heart to see them get along so well. But on one quiet Saturday afternoon, the first crack appeared. Michael and I were on my couch, eating leftover pizza and arguing about whether to spend our honeymoon in Hawaii or Italy, when his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, smiled slightly, and turned it face down on the coffee table. I caught a glimpse before the screen went dark. Linda, my heart skipped. Since when do you save my mom's name with a heart? I asked, half joking. He didn't. Look at me. She's helping me with something for your birthday. Don't ruin the surprise. I tried to laugh it off, but something in his tone felt rehearsed. That evening, we went to my mom's place for dinner. She opened the door in a silk blouse and her favorite red lipstick. There's my favorite couple. She beamed, hugging me, but her hug for Michael lasted a second too long. I noticed during dinner, they kept exchanging glances and laughing at jokes I didn't understand. How do you two even talk so much without me knowing? I asked. My mom waved her hand. Oh, just little chats. You know about you. But the way she said it, it wasn't just about me. I could feel it. When we got home that night, I told myself I was overthinking, that they were just close because they both loved me, that there was nothing to worry about. But as I lay next to Michael, his breathing slow and steady in sleep, I stared into the darkness with one thought circling. In my mind, what if the man I'm about to marry isn't mine at all? They say once a seed of doubt is planted, it grows roots deep into your heart. Mine started that night, staring at Michael's beside me. By morning, I told myself it was nothing. But the truth has a way of whispering until you can't ignore it anymore. A week later, was running errands when I realized I'd left my camera bag at Michael's place. I swung by unannounced, expecting to find him at his desk working on building plans. Instead, I found his living room empty, but his phone, carelessly left on the coffee table, was buzzing. The name on the screen stopped me cold. Linda. For new messages. I shouldn't have looked. I know that. But my hand moved before my mind caught up. The first message read, "Last night was amazing. I can't stop thinking about it." The second, "I wish we could see each other without sneaking around." My breath caught, my vision blurred. My mother? My fiancé? No. It had to be some kind of misunderstanding. Maybe she meant another Michael. Maybe the sound of the front door unlocking froze me. I dropped the phone back on the table just as Michael walked in, holding a bag of groceries. "Hey, babe, didn't know you were coming over," he said, kissing my forehead like nothing was wrong. I forced a smile, my heart pounding. "Yeah, I just came to grab my camera." I watched him unload groceries, my mind screaming. He acted so normal. Too normal. That night, I called my mom. I needed to hear her voice to catch even a hint of guilt. "Hi, sweetheart," she said. Warmly, "How's my favorite girl?" I asked about her day. She mentioned shopping, lunch with friends, nothing unusual, but when I casually brought up Michael, her voice softened. "He's such a good man, Ava. You're lucky." Lucky. 2. Days later, I got my first confirmation that my instincts weren't lying. I was heading home from a client meeting when I saw them. Michael's black SUV parked outside a quiet coffee shop, and my mother sitting across from him inside. They weren't just talking. His hand was on hers. It was smiling, the kind of smile she used to give me when I was a little girl, telling me I was the most important person in her life. I ducked behind a car, my knees trembling. I watched as they leaned in closer, as if the rest of the world didn't exist. And in that moment, the perfect picture of my life began to shatter. I could have stormed in, could have screamed, but instead I pulled out my phone and started recording, 'cause whatever was happening between them, I was going to find out exactly how deep it went. I watched the video I'd taken at least 20 times that night. Michael's hand resting on my mother's, her smile. The way they looked at each other like they shared a secret the rest of the world wasn't allowed to know. I wanted to believe there was an innocent explanation, but deep down I already knew. The next day I made a choice. I was going to follow him. Michael told me he had a late client meeting. I kissed him goodbye, waited 10 minutes, then got in my car and tailed him from a distance. He didn't head toward his office. He drove across town to my mother's neighborhood. My chest tightened as I parked a few houses away and watched him walk right up to her door and let himself in with a key. A key. When had my mother given my fiancé a key to her house? Sat in my car, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. Minutes passed. Then an hour. Every second was a war between storming in and staying put. Finally, I got out and walked to the side of the house, my heart pounding in my ears. My mother's kitchen window was slightly open, and when I stood on tiptoe, I saw them. Michael was standing behind her at the counter, his arms wrapped around her waist. She was laughing softly, tilting her head back against his shoulder. And then he kissed her. Asterisk, it wasn't a quick, innocent kiss. It was the kind of kiss he used to give me when he wanted to remind me I was his. I stumbled back from the window, my vision swimming. I couldn't breathe. The man I was supposed to marry, the man I loved, was kissing my mother in the house where I grew up. I don't even remember driving home. All I know is I sat on my bedroom floor for hours, staring at the engagement ring on my finger until my tears blurred it into a silver haze. When my phone buzzed, I didn't need to look at the screen to know who it was. "Michael, can't stop thinking about you. I'll see you tonight." That was the moment something inside me broke. I wasn't just hurt anymore. I was done being blind. I stared at the message on my screen, my hands trembling. He wasn't talking about me. I knew that now. I'd just seen him kiss my mother, and there was no mistaking the look in his eyes. If he thought he could waltz into my life tonight like nothing happened, he was about to learn who I really was. I didn't reply. Instead, I grabbed my keys, my heart pounding like a war drum in my chest. By the time I pulled up outside my mother's house, the sun was already low in the sky, spilling orange light over the driveway. Michael's SUV was there. Of course it was. I walked straight to the front door and opened it without knocking. They were in the living room. My mother was sitting close to him on the couch, their knees almost touching. Michael's hand rested on hers, and they were smiling like two teenagers sharing a secret. The moment they saw me, everything froze. "Don't stop on my account," I said, my voice cold. "Go ahead, keep pretending I don't exist. You've been doing that for a while now?" Michael stood up quickly. "Ava, don't you dare." I cut him off. "Don't you dare say my name like you haven't been lying to my face for months." My mother opened her mouth, but no sound came out. Her eyes darted between me and Michael like she was searching for an escape route. I took a step closer. "Do you have any idea what it feels like to see the man I love, The man I was supposed to marry with the woman who gave me life? My voice cracked, but I didn't look away. Do you have any idea what you've done to me? It's not what you think my mother tried. I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. Really? Because I think you've been sneaking around behind my back. I think you've been letting him touch you the way he used to touch me. And I think the two of you have been enjoying every second of it. Michael stepped forward, reaching. For me, I still love you. Don't you dare say that word to me, I snapped, jerking away from him. You can't love me and betray me with her. The silence that followed was suffocating. I could hear my own heartbeat in my ears. Slowly, I slid the engagement ring off my finger and placed it on the coffee table between them. The small clink it made seemed to echo in the room. You can have each other, I said, my voice steady now. You've already taken everything else from me. Then I turned and walked out, closing the door softly behind me. I didn't look back. I thought I was walking away for good. But a week later, something would happen that would break me all over again. I thought leaving that house meant I was done with both of them. I thought I'd cried all the tears I had, but a week later I got a call that knocked the air out of me. It was my cousin, Jenna, Ava. I didn't know if I should tell you this, but your mom and Michael, they've gone public. What do you mean, public? I asked, my voice tight. They were at Uncle Ray's cookout yesterday together, holding hands. She introduced him as her boyfriend. My knees buckled. I sat down on the kitchen floor, my phone pressed to my ear. Boyfriend. I whispered, Jenna. Hesitated, and she's pregnant. The words sliced through me. Pregnant. My mother. With the man I was supposed to marry. The phone slipped from my hand. The moment my cousin's voice echoed in my ear, for a second I couldn't breathe. My chest tightened so hard it felt like my ribs would snap. My own mother. Carrying a child. For the man who had promised me forever. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. Instead, I sat there, staring at the wall, my hands shaking uncontrollably. My cousin's voice was still on the line, soft and unsure. Are you still there? Yes, I managed to whisper, but my voice was hollow. That night, I didn't. Sleep, every laugh, every betrayal, every lie replayed in my mind like a cruel movie. By morning, the shock had turned to something else, a cold. Sharp resolve. If she thought she could destroy me and keep living in comfort under my father's roof. She had no idea who she was dealing with. My father had been a good man, and, before he died, he made sure to protect me in the only way he could. In his will, his share of the house was left to me when I turned 25. I was 28 now, and until this moment, I had let her live there without a second thought. But now, that house was the last piece of my father I had left. And I wasn't going to let her and Michael make a mockery of it by noon. I was at my lawyer's office, signing the papers that would transfer full ownership to my name. Once filed, she'd have 30 days to move out. That evening, I walked into the living room. She was there, barefoot, her belly barely showing yet, sipping tea like she didn't have a care in the world. Phone sat on the arm of the couch. I didn't greet her. I just dropped the thick envelope onto the coffee table. She frowned. What's this? Read it. Her eyes moved over the words and her face turned pale. Avia, you can't do this. This is my home. I looked her straight in the eye. No, Mom, this was our home, and Dad made sure it would always be mine. 30 days. Then you and Michael and your baby are out. She set the paper down with trembling hands. How could you do this to your own mother? How could you do this to your own daughter? I shot back, my voice breaking but steady. Enjoy your 30 days. Her teacup clinked against the saucer, the sound trembling like her hands. But I didn't wait for her tears. I turned and walked away, leaving her in the same silence she had left me in the day she betrayed me, for the first time. I felt like I had taken back a piece of myself, but deep down, I knew the wound she left would never fully heal. But, as I closed the door behind me, I had no idea that taking the house would be the start of a war my own mother was willing to fight to the very end.